Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to work with HTML tables. Tables are used to display text or data in a grid format. In this video, I'll be creating a table with my favorite Pixar movie characters. I'll have the character's name, the movie they were in, and the year the movie came out. Let's get started. Let's first start with a sketch to give you an idea of what we'll be working with. So a table is made up of three main areas. We have the header, the body of the table, and then the footer. And this isn't what the table will actually look like. You won't see these spaces between the three sections. This is just to give you an idea of the three sections. And of course, because it's a table, it's going to be in a grid format. So you're going to have columns that go down through all three parts of the table. To create a table, we're going to start with the table tag. In a previous video, I mentioned that some HTML tags cannot work by themselves. It needs other tags to help it generate drawings or elements on the page. The table tag is one of them. So if I were just to have a table tag and then put a table closing tag, nothing will appear on the page. What it needs are the header tags, and that's with the THEAD, the body tag or table body, and then the table footer or just tfoot tag. And within these three main sections, there are other tags to specify a row, and in the row there's another tag to specify the what we call TD or table data, the cell of the table. But that one we'll get into when we look at the HTML. But in order to make a working table tag, we actually don't need the header or the footer. The body is just the minimum that we need. As I mentioned, we're going to create a table with my favorite Pixar characters, and it's going to have three columns: the name of the character, the name of the movie, and the year the movie came out. So this table will have three columns, and I'm just going to list out three movies. So there will be three rows in the body, and we'll leave a footer empty for now. So just to give you an idea of what we'll be creating, this is what our table will look like. Okay, let's look at the HTML. Here I have my index.html with my hello world page. It just has the title and an empty body right now. And then I already opened it in Chrome, and as you can see, there is nothing on the page itself. So to start the table, we're going to add the table tag and close it immediately so we don't forget. Then for the header, we're going to start off with thead, close that. This is the part where we flesh out the table, and it's a good thing we drew it out so we know how many rows and columns we need. In this case, we need to plan out how many columns we have. So if you think about it, with three columns, we need three different set of tags. But we first need to wrap each column with a row. Let me go back to the drawing just to illustrate. Yeah, if you're working with tables for the first time, it can get a little confusing. So if I just wanted to create a table with one row and three columns, I have to think that this row is represented by the tr tag. So you have to remember tr equals row, and then we're going to close our table row eventually. And then within the table row, you're going to have TD for each column. So because we have 3 columns, we need 3 sets of TD tags. The opening tag, the content in the cell, and then the closing TD tag, and then another set for the second column, and a third set of TD for the third column. And if we want to add another row, we would add another TR for row, close it, and then within here we would have our TD table data or cell tags. TD is for table data, but that seems kind of awkward, so just think of it as a cell within the table. So I hope this makes a little more sense. TR represents a row. TD represents one of these cells. So as you're building your grid, if you want 2, you'd have to make sure the second row also has 3 cells in order to make a proper grid, and so forth for the third row. That's why the number of TDs in every TR needs to match up. There needs to be 3 in here and 3 in here and so forth. I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's get back to the HTML. So table header is nothing more than another table row, but just with a different tag. Not a different tag, but a different surrounding parent tag. It's still going to have the TR to represent a row, and we're going to close that immediately. But with a header, I was mistaken. With a header, instead of a TD for the cell, we're going to use TH. And there's not much difference between a TH and a TD. It's just a way for you to create style sheets in the future so that you can specify if you wanted your table header to be bold, then you could easily say, okay, I only want the header, the THs to be bold and not the rest. So for now, we'll just use the TH in the header and the TD in the body. We'll close the TH, and our first column will be the character's name. So this is the header, so we're gonna basically label the columns. So the column header is gonna be name, movie, and year. Okay, so now that we have our header, we can go ahead and save this and see what our table looks like. Okay, there we have name, movie, year, and it looks right now just as if it was regular text in a line, but it's not the case. This is in a table in a grid format, and in order to see that, we're gonna add a border to the table so you can see exactly where the cells start and end. To do that, we add the border attribute equals 1, and when we save and refresh, we can see now that there are 3 separate cells, and name, movie, and year is in its own cell. Let's add the body of the table, and to do that, we do tBody. Let's close it. Start our first row in the body with a TR tag, close that, and then for the first cell, we're using the TD tag for table data. And the first character I'm going to put in my list of movies is Wall-E. So this is where you have to remember the first row is going to be the name. The second row is going to be the movie. So our second TD set is the movie Wall-E. And then the third TD set we said it was going to be the year. And that came out in 2008. So let's just make sure we have everything right. We have the T body. We start the row off with TR. And we have 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's save that and see what it looks like. Great. Now you can see our table starting to form. Let's add 3 more rows. I'm just going to copy the existing TR because we will use the same tags. We're just gonna change the text within them. My second movie is gonna be Sully from Monsters Inc. Oops. And that came out in 2001. Wow, that was a long time ago. It doesn't seem like 2001. And then for our third row, it's going to be Nemo from Finding Nemo. And that was 2003. Okay, now we have 3 sets of TRs representing 3 rows, and each row has 3 sets of TDs representing 3 columns. Save, refresh. And there we go. Now let's add an empty footer just to see what it looks like. T-foot. And I'm just going to have 3 empty TRs just so all of our rows have the same number of columns, but I don't want any actual text in them. So they're just going to be empty TD tags. Okay. So we have T-foot, 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows. Oops. I shouldn't have made 3 rows. I just needed 1 row for the footer. Okay, my bad. There we go. And as you can see, for the footer, even though we have a different wrapping tag, T-foot, instead of T-body or T-head, the tags within them are the same. Still using the TR to represent a row and TD to represent a cell. And there we have it. We have a fully functioning table with a header. My column headers up here, my data, 3 rows of data, and my empty footer. One thing you can do with these cells is merge them together. So let's say, for example, I wanted the footer row to be just 1 long row without it splitting into 3 columns. And we can do that with the call span attribute. And we apply it to the TD tag. So this is where we also have to do some planning, where we say I want the first TD or the first cell to span all 3 columns in this row. So that's what the call span attribute does. And we say we want it to occupy 3 columns. When we do this, we need to remove the other 2 columns that we have down here, or else it'll mess up the table. Let's see what it looks like without me deleting it first. There, as you can see, it merged it, but it created the 2 extra cells, and it messed up our table because the other rows before that only had 3 columns. Then the footer right now has 5 columns because we have 3 columns here, a 4th column, and then a 5th column. So whenever we use call span, we need to remove the unneeded columns in order to keep our grid in the right shape. So I'm just going to delete that, save, and refresh. Okay. Now I don't know if you can see it, but the row is now just 1 cell. Let me add some text just to show you what it looks like. And now you can see that there are no borders splitting up columns. It's just one column occupying the entire row. You can also merge rows also. For example, let's say I wanted Wally to occupy all of column 1. So Nemo won't be there, Sully won't be there, and these rows, the first column in row 1, 2, and 3 will be merged into 1. Let me show you what that looks like. So instead of the col span, we're going to use the row span. With the row span attribute, it's the same thing. We say, okay, we want it to occupy 3 rows. And when it occupies 3 rows, it's going to take over the row that Sully is in and the row that Nemo is in. So we have to go back and remove those rows from here and also from here. So we're removing the TDs from those rows that we're gonna occupy. Save it, refresh, and there we go. We have our Wally cell taking up 3 rows in this first column. Okay, if I did go kind of fast and you got lost or got confused anywhere, I encourage you to create this simple HTML file and play around with it yourself. It's one thing to watch a video and watch someone do it. It's another thing to actually type it out yourself, play with the settings, play with the HTML, and see what the results are. It's a lot easier to learn that way, at least for most people. So I encourage you to open up your text editor, create an HTML file, just type this in and open it up in a browser just to see what it'll do. And this is true with all my videos and all the other instructional videos that you're going to watch on the internet. It's better just to try it out yourself. Great. I hope you enjoyed this video on tables. If you have comments, suggestions, or questions, please leave them in the comments section below. And if you do like this video, I will have future videos coming out. Please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, keep coding.